Understanding vulnerabilities is a crucial part in cybersecurity. It allows developers and security experts to find bad security practices and framework exploits. In this presentation, we will show how one of these exploits works.
Greetings, sir. I am Perdido Matthew MLB, and this is our presentation for our final project, Ethical Hacking and Penetration Testing for Command Execution using DVWA. Part 1 is the introduction, where we will be discussing the important elements for our project. So the first element would be web application. Web application are programs that runs on browser interfaces such as Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or Safari. These browser interfaces are available for anyone for free, and the common examples of web applications are online calculators, webmail, and online stores. And as you can see here on the image, this is the website of the driverpage.com. So all of the mentioned examples can be attacked by command execution and other hacking activities. So next is the form validation. So almost all website utilizes forms, and these forms helps the user interact directly to the website. So form validation helps in protecting a certain website from data corruption and other script execution on the forms. So if a form is not properly protected by form validation, people with malicious intent can perform attacks such as header injection, cross-site scripting, SQL injection, and lastly our topic, the command execution. So if a form is validated, as you can see here on the picture, this is the sign up form of Facebook. So if a form is properly protected by form validations, you cannot perform command execution directly into it. So I will now be passing this to the next presenter.
Or operating system. It is a software that controls all application programs after being loaded into the system. Then these application programs use this to request services. In addition to the operating systems, users can communicate with the computers, and they can use a graphical user interface or command line interface to utilize this operating system. Having an operating systems make people's lives convenient and efficient, which is the most important thing. And these four logos are the popular operating system right now. For the desktop, we have Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Then for the mobile device, we have iOS and Android. For this project, we only use the Windows operating system. It is the most convenient OS since we have already a tool that is applicable in this OS that can do the command execution. Then for the next slide is DNS lookup. So DNS means domain name system. It is a tool that allows anyone to review and see the DNS information and configuration of a domain or server as long as it's online on the internet. This tool also serves as a reconnaissance tool for attackers. They use this to search for essential server names and information for the attack. In this project, with the help of this, we infiltrated the server command response by performing command execution and doing DNS lookup internally. The image right here is an example of a DNS lookup in Linux OS. I will pass now to the next presenter.
Next is MySQL, which is an open source database management system created and supported by Oracle. So using the software, you can modify its source code if necessary that suits your need, since an individual can use it without costing anything. So here are some features of MySQL. So first is it establishes a firewall. Since databases are protected by enterprises firewalls from security risks including SQL injection, sniff attack, and Trojan horse. So next, it establishes encryption. So it provides the option of using public cryptography to encrypt data. Lastly, it also offers a transparent data encryption. By encrypting sensitive data at the physical file level, it provides an improved security. So we all know that MySQL is suitable for designing websites or applications that require a big amount of data that is compatible with applications that demand performance.
Hello, so my name is Don Woodwell and Bautista, and I will first be reporting about DOM Vulnerable Web App. So DOM Vulnerable Web App is a PHP MySQL pop application that is vulnerable. So DVWA is hosted in a GitHub repository, so everyone can access it. So its primary goal is to teach security professionals to test their skill and tools in a legal environment. So it helps web developers to make sure that the web application they're creating is secure from this type of exploits, because this type of exploits are very dangerous, the one that we are going to talk about later. So it is also good for teachers and students that is learning web application security in a classroom environment. So DVWA, it can be hosted in a local environment in SOMP. So they recommend to host DVWA in a virtual box so that no damage can be done to the host computer. Next is command execution. So command execution is a cyber attack that involves executing arbitrary commands on the host operating system. So command execution is the type of attack that we chose in our project. So typically the threat injects the commands by exploiting an application vulnerability. So we are talking about here the SQL fields. So when we are submitting a form request from a client to a server, so this can be exploited through command execution. So command execution takes in various forms, including direct execution of shell commands, injecting malicious files into server runtime environment, right? So we are talking about here when a server tries to get an input from a client. So this is where the hackers or exploiters take advantage of that. So in this application, we are combining the DVWA and the command execution to show everybody how this vulnerability works and what are the types of uh, steps that we can take to avoid this.
I am Serge Lumorador and I will be presenting the command injection demonstration. So the first thing we need to do is go to the exam and start it so we can run the local server. Now let's proceed to the local server. So this is the DVWA which we'll be using for the demonstration. So starting off with the lowest level security. So in the security, they have multiple vulnerabilities on the codes. So we can check the vulnerabilities on the users. So this is the PHP for the low level security. So as we can see, the the target does not specify the ping. It does not check the ping if it is incorrect. So example, if we input just one, not the whole IP, it will accept the command. So we will try to ping the one using the ampersand command and director. So as you can see, the the command is still accepted even though the IP address is incorrect. So now let's proceed with the correct IP address and let's use the command uh, net user. So what does this command does is it will display the net user of the local host that is using. So this is the administrator. Now let's try the other command like getback. So this is the other command that we can use, getback. Now let's proceed to the medium security level. So in this security level, the security is much more higher, and as we can see on the source, so it will be the double ampersand and quotation semicolon is blacklisted, so we can use that in typing our command. So in order to bypass it, we can use single ampersand instead of the double, or we can also use the vertical bar. So example is we want to see the net user and system info. We'll be using double vertical bar to separate the commands. So it works. It will bypass the security. So another example is IP config. Now let's test it with a single ampersand. So as you can see, it worked. Now let's proceed to the highest level security. So this security is much more stricter. The the security on the source has the multiple commands blacklisted, like the single ampersand, vertical bar, semicolon, and etc. So what we could do to bypass the and see the vulnerabilities is we can use the commands like vertical bar but with those cases, because on the source code it only this shows that uh, space command and space are blacklisted. So if I use vertical bar with no space and IP config, we will see it will display the IP config and we successfully bypass the system. So that's all for the command injection.
So for our group observation, so we the researchers chose the command execution method to perform the vulnerability execution for this project. So the researchers also chose attackers to properly simulate the attack's work from a hacker's perspective. So an attacker side view shows how a hack is done by performing vulnerability checks and understanding a target's weak spot. Before we complete the command execution attack, we first research different tools such as DNS lookup, MySQL, operating system, etc. So we performed the command execution on DVWA project provided on GitHub. So the DVWA project allowed us to set different security levels such as low, medium, and high to complete the execution attack. After making the attack successfully, the researcher discusses how the exploit took place and what are the proper actions to prevent such attacks.
Thank you for watching.